Hi, I'm Kristen Oakes-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
As we record this show, what is now Tropical Storm Harvey is making its way across Louisiana. Harvey made its second landfall early Wednesday morning with sustained winds of 45 miles per hour in Cameron Parish.
Fortunately, Harvey pulled dry air from the west into its center. That spared much of Louisiana the heavy rains in the original forecast. The same cannot be said for our neighbors in Texas. The Texas Farm Bureau is reporting that officials there say more than a quarter of the state's cattle herd, 1.2 million head of cattle, are in the 54 counties in the flood disaster area. Back here in Louisiana, Cameron Parish is well known for having strong cattle herds. TWILA's Neil Melancon traveled to the southwestern part of the state to see how ranchers and farmers are faring through the storm.
This isn't the wake of a boat. This is a truck driving over flooded fields near Welsh, Louisiana, and a farm road that's almost completely covered. Kevin Birkin's rice fields are used to water, but not like this from what Hurricane Harvey has brought him. He's gotten more than 15 inches of rain from this system. While Birkin says he can handle that, it's just coming at a bad time.
This is the third year in a row of below average rice yields. Third year in a row of being difficult for us in the rice industry with low prices. Second year in a row of pretty major flooding. This is the fifth flood in 15 months.
For now, Birkin is concerned that if these fields stay this wet, it could impact his second crop in October and November, which many rice farmers depend on to make a living.
The second crop is not all that tall, so it's lower parts of the field. Water gets above them, just kind of depends on how long it's going to stay there. I do anticipate some issues with that, but it's not, we shouldn't be too bad off, I think, unless we get another 10 or 15 inches, and then we're talking a whole different ballgame.
Birkin is lucky that this year he got all of his first crop in. He empathizes, though, with rice farmers across Louisiana and Texas who weren't able to finish in time for Harvey. Birkin was in a similar situation this time last year.
For those that have it out there, this is difficult. Last year when we had that 20-something inches in August, I had 40% of my crop still out there. So I know what that's like. A lot of 2 bean pods on here, some 3.
Birkin is also concerned about a soybean crop. There's a saying, soybeans hate wet feet.
This prolonged period of rain, moisture, not sure what it's going to do on those. I've never had a soybean crop look better. So kind of anxious there. I mean, they're potted up from top to bottom.
Southwest of Welsh is Cameron Parish, where Harvey made its final landfall. It's cattle country there, and the water isn't going away anytime soon.
It seems like a lot of my job here lately is to stand out here in the rain and report on it, but that is what's going on. In fact, right here is Mr. Bozo Cox's rain gauge. He's gotten 26 inches of rain that he's counted since this thing started on Thursday. As of now, it is Tuesday before this storm comes in. It's coming across from this direction and should make landfall on Wednesday. The results of which are unclear to almost everyone, including the National Weather Service, so it's difficult for farmers to prepare for what's going to come.
If the marshes are full like they are now, and that's one thing that's worrying everybody, is how much rain we're going to get tonight and tomorrow, because the marshes act as a catch basin. And if they are full, then the water has no place to go but back up.
Cox says his lands are still suffering from last year's flooding. He hasn't been able to fertilize these fields since last fall. More rains fall as we talk, part of what is hindering him now.
And when we restocked last fall, we did not restock back to the numbers that we had. You know, we figured we'd let the pastures recuperate. We wasn't in a bind on the other ones. And it let the old marsh grass come back.
It will take quite a while to see how much damage Harvey has done across Texas and Louisiana, but one thing is clear. The $10 million in grants for 2016's flooding were a drop in the bucket and nowhere near enough for this year's weather disaster.
We need some real serious change, real serious economics coming out of Washington to help out. because we're talking people who are not going to recover from this. This is life-changing stuff. If you want your food and you want to continue it to be cheap, we've got to take care of the ones that feed us.
Something we saw last year with the flooding in Louisiana is long after the storm has moved on, the effects remain. For guys like Bozo Cox, all that water that was further up north is draining his way, which could keep the roads flooded there for quite a while. For our neighbors in Texas, the Brazos River crested more than a week after the first rains from Harvey started to fall in the Houston area. People who had been dry for all that time saw floodwaters enter into their home. I lived in Sugar Land, Texas for 2 years, and this is flooding from my old neighborhood that has never seen water like this. Our former graphic artist, Valerie Foman, had moved near Beaumont, and this is what her home looks like now. We have drone footage from one of her neighbors, and it looks identical to what many in Louisiana went through last year. There are some good stories here too, though. Louisiana transplants Jay and Stacy Roussel began a dairy goat farm in Needville, Texas, just outside of Houston. While their operation did take on some water, Stacy began delivering fresh goat pops to flood victims and rescue workers in her area.
Hi, my name is Stacy Roussel. I own All We Need Farm. We're a small goat milk dairy, and we use our milk to make goat milk gelato pops. Our farm just weathered Hurricane Harvey, and it's been an interesting week or so, first preparing for the storm and then sleeping in my dairy with my animals for 3 or 4 nights. We weathered okay. Our community has suffered a lot, though, from the storm. And over the last several days, we've been able to deliver pops to local shelters.
She set up a PayPal account to take donations to help flood victims, and we'll link that information on our website at twilatv.org. And guys, there's just no words for the scope of this disaster. I mean, all the statistics are out there, but driving through it in Cameron Parish, I mean, there was so much water over all the roads there, and that's just from residual rainfall. That doesn't count all that water that's going to start backing up and from storm surge, and it's just the words fail me.
I mean, I've seen what happened in Moss Bluff. Moss Bluff got hit pretty hard with a lot of rainfall. It was very reminiscent of what we had around the Baton Rouge area following August.
I was going to say,
yeah.
I mean, I know you have personal experience with it, and seeing those homes, seeing Valerie's home, it looks identical to what was in your neighborhood.
Yeah, you know what these folks are going through to some degree, and you know, obviously, especially in the Houston area, this is unprecedented, the number of homes destroyed, damaged.
Absolutely.
This, I think, will go down surpassing Katrina as the costliest natural disaster to hit our shores.
They're already estimating it at $160 million in damages. And you know, even though they're not really comparable, I think because we went through what we did last year, that's why we have that empathy with what's going on in Texas. I know we're this week in Louisiana agriculture, but the correlation is just too strong.
And I think you meant to put the B on there, $160 billion.
Yes, $160 billion, not million.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time too. Thank you very much, Neil Melancon.